everybody's got their best hair on. Yes. Okay. So what we do need is to make sure that everybody is muted, just because we will start having feedback if we aren't. So Tara, are you able to make sure if people come in as like people are coming in and that you're taking care of muting? Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so excited to see everybody. This is so nice. God, we should do this every week. Just like peer at each other. Hi, Linnea. How nice to see you. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly introduce the team members that are here across the top, which, so, I mean, you may all have it in a different order than me, but everybody can wave. Tara, can you wave? Tara's doing our tech goddessing. And then there's Ellie wave, and Kathleen, and Claire Marie, and Lorianne, and Callie, and Susie, and Jen is in hiding for some reason. Jen, are you going to wave or are you going to hide? She's hiding. She's still hiding. There she is. Now she's going to hide again. Do be here. It's so nice to see everybody. Oh my God. So welcome, and thank you for being here, and thank you for caring enough to show up and to bring yourselves, and for so many of you who are our restorers, who are our donors, who have helped us get to 15 million trees, which is the first. I'm not a data girl. I don't terribly celebrate things, and because all I ever see is that there's so much more to do. But for some reason, 15 million trees really hit me. It's like, oh my God, it's a thing. It's actually 15 million trees, and that's us. We've all done that together. And so, you know, I would just like to start by asking everybody to rub their hands together and just wake up their hands, like just wake up your hands, and just first of all, just shine them at everybody as a thank you so much for caring. Like everybody, like just sending our love. Look, we look like a forest. Just sending our love to everybody here that cares enough to be making a difference, restoring the global forest, transforming lives, protecting species, doing extraordinary things. And then when you're doing that, like let everybody's love into your hands. Like let yourself be loved. Let yourself receive the gratitude of everyone. And then let's just put it on our hearts and acknowledge that as we let ourselves receive, we're also Gaia. We're also the planet being tended and loved and cared for and seen and nurtured, and that we're saying we see you and we know you're struggling and we're doing something and we're loving you, and we're trying to weave you back together again with the roots of these extraordinary sacred trees and all of your species. And so let's have it be a prayer of gratitude. And that's why we're here. We're here really to say thank you to all of you. Deep, deep thank you to all of you. And there's some really brave advisors from Veleda here who just like threw themselves in all of a sudden to we need to. I think you muted everybody and muted me. Some very brave women who have just thrown themselves in at the very last minute to raise funds for trees, who are just like stepping through comfort zones and presenting and doing stuff just because there's this call and there's this orientation and it matters so much. So just deepest, most sincere appreciation to you all. So the plan is very loose. The intention for this call is that it's intimate. It's a conversation. This isn't a presentation. I'd love for you all to to know that you can ask any question and that it's fine, and that if you have a question to ask, there's probably other people who also have that question. There is no wrong question. We may not be able to answer it. We may not be able to give you the answer that you want, but we'll find the answer and we'll bring it back. And so this will be on the Tree Sisters Facebook page. And so what we will also do is we'll gather questions that come up in the chat. So as we go, if questions come, you can also add them to the chat. If we don't get to them, we will get to them because they'll go from the chat into Facebook, onto the Facebook string, and we'll answer them there. So there'll be nothing hopefully left unanswered, because if you come off this call and you're also going, damn, I wish I knew that, you can also go back to that Facebook stream and ask your question, and we'll just keep checking back in there so that hopefully anything that comes up for anybody can be, oh, I just got spotlighted. That's really weird. Now I'm talking to myself. Thanks, Tara. I'm totally discombobulated now. Okay, I'm going to change my screen so hopefully I see everybody again. There we are. So the structure of this call is loose. We're going to do a brief meditation just because that's what we do. We come in together and we're going to do like a sprint around the inner journey. So those of you that don't know the inner journey, Tree Sisters is rooted in what I call 5-element acupuncture for consciousness, for behavior change. So we'll be briefly moving through reveal, embrace, embody, activate, and shine. We'll do it in like 5 minutes flat, just to change the energy and change the listening, really, so that we can drop in a little and have that sense of nurture and togetherness. Then I'm going to, I'll give a very brief update. We'll discover whether it's possible for me to be brief about anything. And then I'm going to introduce you one by one to the team members that are here. There's a lot more team members inside of Tree Sisters. There's quite a few aspects of Tree Sisters that aren't represented. But I'm hoping between those of us that are here, we'll be able to answer everything. But really for them to share their highlight, but also so that you know who's here. So Lorianne is sitting here and she's holding the trees. She's not at the top of my page anymore. Where's Lorianne gone? So strange. And if and when we have technical difficulties, we will deal with that as we go. So my request is if we could all please stay muted so that we can be as focused as we can. And also to the team, as we're sharing, for some of you, I know you're not used to being in front of a lot of people. This is about us showing up as people. There is no perfection here. There is no such thing as perfection. There's just perfect intentions. Tree Sisters is an evolving organization. We're growing. We've had a tough year, really tough year, and the team has come through incredibly amazing. I am so proud of everybody here. In fact, I could cry. I'm so proud of them. But my God, what a year. And, we've had, everybody here has had a year. Every one of you has had a year. We're still in this year. We're still surfing the unknown, the unmanageable, the unplannable, the overwhelming, life-throwing curveballs. In so many ways. So I also want to acknowledge the overwhelm for a lot of people. And it's not just been that. For some, it's been absolutely beautiful. There's been a break, there's been furlough, there's been financial support. Here where I am right now in this moment, I'm in Mexico. There was no financial support from the government for anybody that lost work. It's very different all around the world. So Brenda, I think just hearing you wanting a brief introduction to the organization, I think you're going to understand more as we go. Before we drop into the brief meditation that I'm going to offer, I will just say, Tree Sisters is a love affair. It's a love affair made visible. It is the belief that everyone has unique contributions to bring to the world at this time. It's feminine based, it's feminine rooted, it's focused on women, but it's not exclusive of anybody. It's feminine rooted because when I had the car crash at the beginning that asked me to do this, I heard, women have to remember who and what they are. Feminine consciousness has to be reinstated or it's over. amongst other things. That there is a piece that women hold that has been suppressed for so long, which is why we are in the mess that we are in. Patriarchal consciousness is dominant. Feminine energy is not. It's a co-creator. It's a collaborator. It's a circle. It harmonizes. It balances. It holds reverence. It holds health. It holds the sacred. And so I would love us collectively to take this time, not just to listen and ask questions, but to remember why we're here. We're here to honor the sacredness of life. We're here for reverence and respect and for beauty. And yeah, so let's drop in. So once we've basically gone round and heard from each of the team members, then it's just going to be question and answers. It's just going to be a conversation between all of us. It can be what it can be for the rest of the time that we have together, which I believe is an hour and 30. We may not use all of that time, we may, but that's the time we've got available to us. So if everybody could stay muted. Tara, I'll try and keep my eyes open in case you mute me by accident when you're muting everyone. Okay. And thank you so much. I just appreciate you so much, Tara, for being the one who's got the eagle eyes on everything. So you might want to just shake your hands, shake your shoulders, stretch everything, waggle your butt as hard as you can while you're sitting on it. It can be very satisfying, even pleasurable. Look for the pleasure in your body. Let's have a bit of a reverence. Make a noise. And take a really deep breath in. And as you do, just breathe in gratitude for just the privilege of being alive. And another breath, gratitude for everybody that's here. And as you breathe out, imagine that you're sending it to everybody that's here. And the third breath, let's breathe in the sky. And breathe out down to Gaia. And let's just stay there for a few moments, just breathing in the sky, allowing your whole upper body to open to immensity. We are not alone. We can never be alone. The sky is kissing us all over in every moment. If you move into that relationship with life, it's different. It's intimate. Breathing in the sky, drawing your breath all the way down your body, breathing out to Gaia. We are the kiss between heaven and earth. Enjoy it. Let yourself find that place of being where the two meet. And this first place, reveal, is about humility before the immensity. It's about we have no idea who and what we really are. So in this moment, just see if you can go anywhere towards dropping any perception that we even know what it means to be human. Like, can you be a mystery to yourself in this moment? And can you let everyone else be a mystery? And can you allow for the fact that the sky knows you so much better than you will ever know yourself. And Gaia knows you so much better than we will possibly ever know ourselves, because we are made of heaven and earth. And neither of them have an ego in the way. And so we can show ourselves fully, like just imagine showing yourself fully to earth and sky as a mystery. And see if you can breathe that in. See if you can breathe some of that immensity in and know that that lives inside the space, inside your own cells. Trillions of cells that you are, filled with space, filled with cosmic energy, wild natural intelligence. So we're making ourselves available. And then we're dropping our attention into our chests, into our hearts, into our capacity to love, into our longing to be loved, into our longing to share. And let's just start by touching in to the gratitude that our hearts have for those closest to us in our lives that we love the most. Those for whom we're planting, those for whom we are striving to create a workable future, a healthy planet. Just feel your love for them. Feel how that expansion increases this spaciousness inside you. And then add to it all these mysterious beings, these many of us, these over 100 people here and now those elsewhere that are tuning in. Just appreciation, gratitude and appreciation for those that care, those that are awake to what's going on and doing something. Let's just feel that expanded sense of love and gratitude. We're woven together by our care. And around this circle, the countless tree sisters all around the world in so many different countries. Just feel them as if you've got them all at your back. All these women and now men and those of other genders who are standing for the trees and standing for authenticity and standing for love. There is a huge awakening going on our planet. And when you focus on that, you tune into it and the energy of that arises in your body. And beyond that, let's find ourselves surrounded by hundreds of species of animals and birds and insects and trees. Feel the call of nature all around you, these beings, these miraculous beings that we've shared this planet with. The whales, the dolphins, the penguins, the elephants, the rhinos, the meerkats, the rats, the butterflies, the hummingbirds, the robins. Nature willing us to wake up, willing us to come home. Can you let yourself feel into your love of the natural world? Can you let the myriad ways that nature has supported us, can you let yourself become more aware, more grateful for it? And see if that love of nature, that love of the forests, that love of the ocean, that love of Gaia can bring you closer to the center of yourself, closer to the center of your own soul, the part of you that knows exactly why you're here, why you chose this moment to incarnate.
Pee dumps, and then it was
And just let that knowing rise in you and just see how it answers the question, I am here to ... what? What is rising in you? Maybe clear, maybe totally unclear, it doesn't matter. Just breathe into it and say yes. And then imagine that you are that thing given fully in your life. Just imagine that you say yes to yourself completely, and that everybody here is saying yes to themselves, even if what is inside us is still a mystery. We're just saying yes. That's the energy that I'm going to invite us all to just bring to this call, the energy of yes. Yes to it all. Yes to everything life gives us, everything life asks of us. All we can do is show up the best that we can in every moment with as much grace as we can. So you're welcome to stay in that space of stillness, in that space of openness. I'm not going to say very much myself here because I want to hand over to the team, but also because for me, this year has been very deeply personal. Some of you all know I had a major health crisis at the end of last year with heavy metal poisoning that had built and built and built until I was completely flattened. And I actually had to step out of TreeSisters for a good 3 months at the beginning of the year. And I've been coming back in sequentially. And for me, letting go of my baby, this is my one child in this lifetime, like letting go right as COVID hit, right as furloughing happened, right as all these things that took power, like the control out of my hands. And I had to just say, you know what, I have to keep letting go. I have to keep letting go. It's been an incredibly humbling journey of coming into integrity with the core teachings of TreeSisters, which are the opposite of how I was living, which is a balanced way of breathing in, listening to your body, and giving from a resourced place so that you're not burning yourself or your planet out. I was a poster girl for burnout. So learning how to trust the process and learning how to listen to my own body in a way that is authentic so that I can actually step into my leadership, whatever that looks like, and serve from a more balanced place where I'm listening better. That's been the primary journey for me this year. But we also brought in an extraordinary woman to be the CEO of TreeSisters, and who was actually one of our trustees for 5 years. And then she got COVID incredibly badly and we almost lost her. So then she was out as well. So, and then we've had other team members that we've lost for various different reasons, also some of them COVID related. So we suddenly found ourselves, like I thought it would be, oh, I'll just creep off sideways and everything will be fine. But then it was like loss, 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 and a world in complete instability. We then lost something like $500,000 worth of pledged income for the trees from companies that were standing by us just in March alone. And it was just like the world went into free fall, and I was standing back just going, oh my God, like watching it all. Oh my God, I'm supposed to be relaxing. Oh my God, how am I, like, how do you do this? And this journey of you just trust. You trust that there is a deeper flow, a greater intelligence, a reason for all of this, that everything that is happening for your benefit. Everything is trying to bring you into greater integrity with the mission of TreeSisters. Whatever happens, we're going to come through. And we have. We've come through extraordinarily, beautifully. So I'm going to hand over to Kathleen, who is deeply involved with the network. Kathleen's going to introduce herself. I'll just say, I love this woman with all my heart. I love all these women with all my heart. And it's such a privilege to introduce them all to all of you. So Kathleen, please introduce yourself and let everybody know, A, what you do, but also what your highlight for the year has been and what you're available to talk about should people have questions.
Thank you, Claire. I wasn't expecting to go first, but I love that unexpected kind of thing, because I just want to bring me here, right? And welcome all of you. My greatest joy is community, connecting with everyone from the TreeSisters community. I'm the artist liaison and the community engagement coordinator. I manage the nest, and I love the nest. I feel like the nest is a place that we're all coming together. We have over 6,500 beautiful members in the nest right now, who most of them call it a home. It's a space. It's an intimate space. It's like what we just went through with Claire. It's a place to integrate that. It's a place to have conversation around that. It's a place to support each other, and a place to take action with each other for the trees, for the planet, for our changing earth. And it's also, during this year, the highlight for me has been our resilience around, yes, there were losses, but the way that we came back was through the hearts of everyone that we're connected with in this network, and the hearts of our team. I mean, the culture of our team is through and through, all the way to the core of Claire and every other team member. It's an absolute honor to work with everyone here, as well as to bring that out into the community. We have sistering calls where we've changed that. We were doing it once a month, and we started doing it every 2 weeks, because everyone needed the connection. You know, we started to be separated from each other more and more. And this way we were able to come together with each other. We have a lot of things happening in the nest that are...
Kathleen?
Yes?
Do you want to say a little bit more about what a sistering call is? There'll be a lot of people here that have no idea what that is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. So a sistering call is a very rare thing in the world that's very necessary. And what it is coming together and holding space for the beauty and magnificence of another person, another sister, another brother. We have brothers on the calls as well. So this is a life-changing thing. And I'm sure that it would happen in person, that you think that it can only happen in person, but it happens over Zoom like this. And we come together in more intimate groups. And if a large group comes together, we have breakout groups, and we have maybe 2 or 3 in a group, and we hold space for each other in such a way that you can feel the energy. You can feel the love and the acceptance for exactly showing up, exactly who you are in that moment. And it's a beautiful place. It's been a place this year of, you know, breakdowns and breakthroughs, and places to connect for those who haven't connected, but also places for people just to come to be themselves and to share what their connection is with the earth. Yeah, so come and try one, because that's the best way to really experience it. It's a little bit difficult to completely explain the transformation that happens on that journey. But I see a lot of you have been in sistering calls that are here in here, and a lot of you are in the nest that have come to this call today. So I appreciate that. And I also wanted to mention a little bit, while I have the moment, is about a journey that was started this year called Liberating Our Creative Voice for Earth. And that was birthed because of all of the emerging energy and creativity that I have seen through all of the Tree Sisters coming in, being drawn to this call, this clarion call for the trees and for Earth. The women and the men have come forward with all their gifts, saying, what can I do? How can I do this? How can I share my gift? How can I share my truth, my voice, my song, my dance, my storytelling, like my art, my painting, whatever it may be, for the earth? And so we've started that. It's a beautiful journey, and there's a lot of co-creativity happening, where people are coming together and working on projects together and giving back to the trees, as well as individually. So I think I've taken my time. Probably I could go on, but I really welcome you to the nest and to Tree Sisters if you haven't been here before. And we're doing a lot of really good things together, and I appreciate you all so much.
Thank you, lovely. So the reason I started with Kathleen is because what many of you that are new to Tree Sisters won't know is that we're part consciousness shift culture change work, and we're part tropical reforestation. So we have a huge focus on the inner work, on what helps us, what holds us back, what moves us forward, what liberates our heart, how do we create trust, how do we create sisterhood, how do we create safety and community? Why are we doing that? Because it's the clench of disconnection and separation that means that we cannot feel ourselves as part of the natural world, which allows us to dominate it the way we are. So we can say to everybody, please go and plant trees, but unless we actually have an inner shift where we are safe enough to feel our indivisibility, fundamentally, the world isn't going to change. So this is about transforming our relationship to self, other, and nature, out of which, that's reveal, embrace, embody, out of which activate, which is activities that happen on behalf of life, arise, which bring us into our gifts. That's shine. That's the journey that we just did. So all of that leadership comes forward, and then hopefully gives us enough energy to be able to start to make changes. So Lorianne, love. Lorianne, are you there? And do you want to just speak to the trees?
Sure, I'm here. So I'm Lorianne Bois-Robert. I'm the tree program manager at TreeSisters. So that means that I'm responsible for holding the tree program. I work with a team of volunteers that I call the Tree Pod. And I'm actually very tired today because I've been through, I've been through a whole week of interviews because we are recruiting someone to work with me, and she's going to manage the reforestation project, so I can concentrate on the strategic things related to the work and developing the program. That's what I'd like to focus next year. So our team works hard, me, the Tree Pod, to attract, to seek out, to monitor, and to ensure that we have a set of ethical and sustainable reforestation projects to offer to the network. As this year ends, the main highlights that I can think of is it's really amazing to having been able to receive the funding that the donors gave and to be able to plant 15 million trees across the tropics, to fund in 8 different countries with 6 different partners, many different landscapes, carbon-rich mangroves and peatland forests, biodiversity-rich lowland forests, rain harvesting mountain forest. It's just amazing the type of projects that we get from our reforestation partners. We restore landscapes, we restore forest, natural forest, but we fund that. But our reforestation partners also work with communities that plant trees on farms, that plant community edible forest gardens, and grow semi-natural community forests. It's a very complex work, and I really want to acknowledge that and appreciate the work that our reforestation partners are doing. And it's been a difficult year for myself, and I guess it wasn't easy for the reforestation partners as well, but they have done an amazing work continuing. Most of them have continued working, and they have adapted, they have followed the guidelines for security, and it's just amazing that they can continue doing that.
Bless you, love. Thank you. Yeah, I think so. Was it mainly India that actually had to stop? Is India still stopped? Because I think most of the other projects managed to keep going through COVID.
Yes, the India project stopped for 2 months because the government asked, because the country was on lockdown. It's mainly that. We have a few projects on pause, but we are rediscussing a new deal with new partners and
Fabulous.
scaling up the work.
Great. Thank you so much. Lovely. So, Susie. Don't look so frightened.
Hi.
Are you going to introduce yourself and share your highlights of the year?
Yes, I am, Claire. My name is Susie, and my job title is Education and Alliances. And that is really a great and deep joy within TreeSisters because of the nature of the alliances and partnerships that it's possible for us to do, and the way it's possible for us to work collaboratively with other organizations, other sectors and movements. And the education part of that comes from working with the Tree Conference, and also other ways of bringing forward knowledge about understanding trees, tree wisdom, tree science, and the relationship with ecosystems. Highlights from this year: it has been really tough. I was on furlough for a fair amount of time, and what's been really extraordinary through the alliances and relationship network that we have with multiple different NGOs, reforestation organizations, international forum, as well as different Indigenous networks and networks in countries like South America and Asia, is being able to hear on the ground what's happening in other countries, what's really going on, and to support TreeSisters to move and change its position in such a way as we can be of most benefit moving forward into 2021. And I think that's probably an incredibly amazing thing to have the chance to do in this time with all this funny news going around, and it's quite hard to work out what's real. So yeah, that's probably the highlight. What was the other thing I was supposed to say?
Well, you can say whatever you like, but it would be lovely to hear a little bit about the work on the ethical tree growing framework.
Okay, well, so we had been working collaboratively with 30 or so different reforestation, conservation, social change NGOs, and moving forward to do a project that was orientated around the Year of the Tree. And then pandemic hit, and we've recalibrated the most appropriate way to move forward, particularly with Tree Aid, the labs, Trees for the Future, and We Forest, around the creation of ethical tree growing code. And that's because what we're seeing is the core values of respect, reciprocity, and reverence in our care for the natural earth help us to anchor a pathway forward into the future that takes care of future generations and is aligned to the needs of life. So we've been exploring ethical principles, but also working practices that are applicable within all sorts of different sectors as a kind of central orientation around which we can move forward to support reforestation that is both ethical and deeply respectful of landscapes and resilient communities. So moving forward with that is fascinating and a deep honor. Yeah.
Thank you, love. And I actually want to say this is probably one of the high points of my year. I had a call from some consultants in the Bay Area who said, we've been given $1 million and we need to spread it through tree organizations. And we've been doing all this research and I'm absolutely terrified by how much bad restoration work is going on out there. And he was like, do you realize how bad it is? And I was like, yeah, like we're surrounded by people who've got enormous marketing budgets, way more than us, way more staff than us, who are putting trees in the ground in a way that is not honoring. And he just said, you're one of the top organizations out there who are doing it ethically. And he wrote a quote for me, and I'm going to read it. I may cry, but after this sort of a year, when somebody says this, it really, really, really matters. Lift Economy has had the privilege to assess the field of organizations and projects promoting tree growing and reforestation around the world. We analyzed the activities, intentions, and approaches of dozens of campaigns and hundreds of projects and organizations, operating foundations and NGOs. TreeSisters stands out as one of the few organizations taking a sensitive, nuanced approach, recognizing the substantial benefits that reforestation can create in partnership with communities without reducing the impact of trees simply to carbon reduction. TreeSisters advocates for what the world needs, an ethical and compassionate relationship with trees as allies in healing and restoring the health of the world. That made my year, frankly. It really made my year. And this was coming from a guy who is creating large funding networks of major, what they call conscious investors who were looking to actually invest in reforestation. He was looking to us to be one of the filters to ethical tree growing, so that people could actually understand what to look for, so that they don't put their money into the wrong places. Hard for people to actually understand that you can reforest in a really bad way, but you can. So sorry about the sound effects going on here. I am going to hand over, thank you, Susie, to Callie, who I also can't see, but I know she's here somewhere. Callie, are you there?
I am. I'm here.
Oh, you're down there.
Yeah, here I am. Hello, everyone. It is so great to be here. And can you hear me?
Yeah, we just got some. If everybody could mute themselves, it would be amazing. Thank you.
Okay.
Go
So
for it,
I'm Callie, and my job at TreeSisters is holding the work that we do with businesses, so our business partnership work. And this year, interestingly, has been a really exciting year, and this is a branch of our work at TreeSisters that is really growing. Despite COVID, the pandemic, the lockdowns, the impact on the economy, the job losses, we are growing and we are attracting more and more partners. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, I think, for the reason Claire's just outlined, which is the ethics behind the reforestation work that we do, but also because of the feminine empowerment and the women's work that we do. So companies are awakening. There's obviously, we know there's big shifts happening out there, and more companies are looking to plant trees, to restore, and they're finding us and they're really liking what they're seeing. And so this year my focus has been on relaunching a series of programs that enable companies to easily step in with us and to embed trees into their ongoing business models. So we have 5 programs now. The Soul Trees program, which is for self-employed individuals, men as well as women. We have the Company Forest program, which is for product and service-based companies. We have a Trees for Tickets program, which is for organizations who are running courses, be that and gatherings, be that it's mainly online this year, unfortunately. And then we have a Treehouse program, which is for hotels and B&Bs. And all of those programs are designed to enable businesses of a huge variety of sectors and sizes to join us in making the shift from consumer to restorer. So a lot of the work and the influence that I'm finding we can have is in inspiring businesses to think a bit differently about how they're operating. So putting the earth at the heart of what they do, making their purpose restoration rather than just selling, engaging their ecosystems, seeing themselves as ecosystems and agents of change, social change, and inviting their customers to join in reforestation, their supply network, that upstream and downstream, because and following the mirrors of nature of collaboration, and that we can do more together than we can do on our own. So since we launched those programs in September, we're averaging about 40 sign-ups a month. We're almost at 350 partners now in total, which is phenomenal. And what I'm really seeing, which I feel like I'm in a really privileged position, because I'm getting to talk to amazing people who are awakened, who are conscious, who want to give back, who want to do the right thing with business, who want to make the big changes that we need to make. What I'm really seeing is like the old systems are crumbling down over here. The traditional businesses are really struggling. And over here, there's this network of conscious business, of restorative business that's growing and growing and strengthening. and finding their way to Tree Sisters, which is really encouraging and you know, and yeah, really heartwarming. So the work next year will be to try to help them spread the word further, engage their ecosystems further. We also have a number of, the 5th program that I forgot to mention was the Catalyst program, which are bigger organizations who really want to, you know, step into some radical leadership and go beyond just tree planting and engage with us to do the social inner work, change work as well. So we've got 8 partners that we're working with on that level and looking to take the map work, you know, that the inner journey work into the business setting and into that context. So it's a busy, exciting time, and I'm loving it. And I see Sarah Dugan's here from Slangevar. They're one of our partners. Welcome, Sarah. It's good to see you. But yeah, it's, you know, with all the chaos in the world, I'm on a daily basis heartened by just the incredible people that are out there who get it, who are working hard to do the right thing. And, you know, one of the things I'd love to do is be able to better facilitate networking amongst that community. So we're going to look at how we might be able to do that next year as well.
Thank you, darling. And I just want to enroll you all in playing a particular game with me. This is one of my favorite games. When I go to health food shops, or when I go to you know, shops that have amazing organic fair trade products, I take photographs of everything. Like, I go along the pill shelves in pharmacies, and I go along, like, who's doing the green soaps, who's doing the amazing hemp clothing, and I go home and I just research them, and then I just email them. And on a daily basis, I just reach out to maybe 3 or 4 companies that I have no idea whether they, you know, some of the, you know, I've got like my favorite chocolate companies who do like all organic, beautiful, gorgeous things. I'm like, can I grow a forest for you? You know, would you like to grow a forest? And any of you can do that. You can literally say, I love your products. I buy your products. I would love them even more if you embedded restoration inside your products. Would you like to grow a forest? Here is the partnership linked for Tree Sisters. The reason I love them is because they're one of the most ethical tree growing organizations out there. And because their tree price is really low, because their portfolio covers this huge wide range, and you like throw this love letter out into the universe and see what comes back. But it just feels like this wonderful way of planting seeds, like no attachment to outcome. Just, wouldn't it be amazing if there was a future reality in which no consumption happened without restoration being embedded inside it? That's the game of reciprocity that Tree Sisters is rooted in. You know, because we can't suddenly stop consumption, but what we can do is plant trees in consumption and help the trees curve people around into greater ecological awareness. Like it calls them back in. Janet, it's so lovely to see you with your little one. Look at that. So I am now going to, thank you so much, Callie. Claire Marie, are you there somewhere?
I'm here. Hi Claire, thank you. I'll introduce myself because some of you, I think, might recognise my name, but I'm the volunteer coordinator for Tree Sisters. And yeah, it's a real privilege to be in this position because there's so much work that is done at Tree Sisters, which we couldn't do without the volunteers. I mean, I've sat here and listened to Callie, to Susie, to Lorianne, all talking about these, you know, really quite chunky projects which they're working on. You know, reforestation and reviewing the projects that come through is big work, as is you know, Kathleen's work of holding the community and putting on amazing community events. None of this can happen without the volunteers at Tree Sisters. And it's an absolute honour to work with the volunteers because they are literally our lifeblood for enabling us to do as much as we can. we're a staff of 16. Our reach is far, far beyond that because of our volunteers. We have over 60 volunteers who work in 6 different pods across the organisation, and they're everywhere, from the edges of California to the the edges of Australia and everywhere in between. We have huge amounts of different diverse people who have at some point or other listened to Clare or read some of the amazing marketing material which is put out to try and connect to the hearts and minds of people, and they've got to a point in their life where they think, yes, that is a place that I want to give my energy and my time to. And yeah, it's great. The idea that people out there are so able and so well resourced to be able to think to themselves, okay, well, I'm okay now, and I want to give back, and I want to give back with money, but I also want to give back with my time and skills. And everyone has different skills, and everyone has different levels of time and energy in which to commit to volunteering. And we're a patchwork quilt. Some people volunteer for 2 or 3 hours a week. Other people give 20 hours a week and have done for 4 years. It takes all people, all types of people, from all different types of walks of life, to be able to weave into this patchwork of support for Tree Sisters. And one of the things that we need is money to make the trees get planted. It is about the donations, it is about your generosity, but it's also about the way that people think and react about Tree Sisters. It's about how they want to step into service and give of their time and energy, so that Lorianne is able to look at, she gets huge amounts of projects presented to her, but not all of them are of an ethical standard that we can support, because we have a very rigorous framework to ensure that we're planting trees in the best places with the NGOs that are able to support not just the environment but the humans, the people who are planting those trees. They need to be supported too. And so the volunteers that come in and support Lorianne are very skilled. They've got a huge skill set which they've donated in order to ensure that our ethical track record is, as Claire said in that quote, one of the best in the reforestation sector. So yes, it's about the staff that you see here today and the others that aren't with us, but it's really about the volunteers as well, and it's really about interaction. It's about being part of Tree Sisters, and you can be that as a volunteer, or you can be that as somebody who's on social media, or watching on Facebook today, or logged into this Zoom call. It's about taking part, and to take part is to also give back, because it feeds the energy into what we do. So that's a little bit about our volunteering groups. I think I'd just like to finish up with saying thank you to the volunteers that are on the call here, or thank you to the volunteers that will watch this call at a later date. You really are amazing people, and the gratitude that we have for you is beyond compare. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you, Claire Marie. Yeah, and thank you to everybody. We do have extraordinary volunteers. Ellie, love, you're sort of in the hot spot here, because Angharad and Abby aren't here to be able to talk about the groves. The groves being another way that you can get involved, which is to start a local Tree Sisters community where you are, which we call a grove. Ellie is one of our newest and youngest, and she is an old soul with just such incredible beauty, and she's sort of like finding her way through all these different elements of Tree Sisters. But I think right now, if you could just say a little bit about groves for people, honey, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, sure, that would be a pleasure. So my name's Ellie and I work in network relations and volunteer support. And yeah, a few things I'd like to kind of bring regarding the groves is just that going on from what Claire Marie mentioned about, you know, being together, showing up and being part of a community. And that's something that our groves sort of create in communities all over the world, you know, groups of people coming together and gathering, be that in person or online, and, you know, mutually supporting one another, bringing their healing, bringing their voices and their ears, and at the same time, you know, cooking up things to do in the local community, for the benefit of the land, for the benefit of the environment. So some groves, you know, go to the council and say, please can we have this piece of land so that we can plant loads of saplings and try and recover the health of this beautiful land that is our home. And also a lot of groves kind of create fundraisers as a community to reforest the tropics. So there's that sort of two-sided actioning part of the groves where people are taking care of their local land and equally reforesting the tropics as well. So it's that kind of, you know, seeing on a really personal level and honouring and nourishing that commitment and care for our direct surroundings, and then seeing the bigger picture of, you know, the earth and how we can best, you know, heal her and yeah, kind of deal with the climate emergency that we're facing. So and all the while nourishing that sense of circle, that sense of community, and holding each other in our love for earth, holding each other in our grief for earth, and it's all welcome, you know. And if anyone's interested in finding more about the groves, we have a page on our website, and also a groves map where we have the groves who've registered are pinned to this beautiful map, and you can kind of zoom into your sort of area and see if there's any groups of people who are gathering. And if you want to create a grove, you're so welcome to do so. We actually have a course in our online community in the Nest called Becoming a Grove Tender, and that'll take you through all the steps of how to set up a grove and how to prepare yourself, and how to reach out to others. Yeah, it feels like a real strength, and kind of, it feels very heartening to know that there is a web of circles of beings all over the earth sort of committing to that healing work. So yeah.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to answer one of the questions that's just popped up here, just so that we get that question answered. There's lots of questions, and which is great. And I didn't go through with the team before this how we were going to go through these questions, so we're going to have to figure this out as we go. But here's one from Veronica. Does the cost of a tree include the cost of running the organization Tree Sisters, or do you have another funding stream for that? Great question. Hopefully, I'm hoping that if you go to the front page, the homepage of the Tree Sisters website, and scroll down, you'll actually see how our money moves inside of the organization. But we have an 80-20 split. So 80% of everything that comes in, so if you give £10 a month, £8 of that is going straight out to the tropics. That £8 is going to be spread not entirely evenly, because different projects have different amount of land and different cost per tree, but it's spread over all our projects. So you're funding, you're growing trees in all of those different ecosystems. Of the 20 that's remaining, 15 of that goes on our charitable activities. So what I mean by charitable activities is our feminine empowerment work, our groves work, our campaigning, our education work. It's everything that helps us do the the consciousness shift and culture change to try and draw more people towards the trees. Because if we weren't doing that, we'd just be a tree planting organization. But we're not. We're not just a tree planting organization. Our uniqueness is the fact that we are trying to seriously wake up the world to the value of trees, relationship with trees, ethical planting, how to do it, the relationship between trees and water, the relationship between trees and everything, essentially. So you could call that 15% rebuilding relationship, because rebuilding relationship with self, other, nature, collaborations, all the partnerships, all of that is essentially trying to take our ethics and our values and give them to the world so that we can move towards reciprocity. 15% of what you're giving is going towards that. 5% helps us with admin and fundraising. So do we have another stream for running the organization? Yes. Right now it's largely called me. It's called fundraising. Part of all the work that Callie does as well is drawing money in through businesses. Like, again, a small percentage of what comes in through them will also be going to us. We need somebody to mute themselves. Sorry. But essentially, I would say TreeSisters runs on radical generosity. 95% of everything that comes in is on our charitable activities. And then we're soon to hire a fundraiser. That's the best news I've heard in years, to help me go out and generate the funding needed to actually keep this show on the road. Which also brings me to all of you, which is for those of means who are looking to make a difference, actually helping us fund the organization so that we can do all of this work is massively, massively important. It's very tempting just to say, I just want to plant trees. But when you fund TreeSisters, you're funding a mechanism that gets the invitation and the education around trees out to the masses so that so many more people can do it. So, okay. Tara, I know that you are working hard to keep people muted and figure out what's going on, but I wondered if you just wanted to briefly speak to the Indigenous Wisdom for the Earth series. There's other questions in here about our work with Indigenous communities, which for sure the Ashaninka, well, I mean, it really depends on your definition of Indigenous, frankly, which is an interesting one increasingly as we go forward. But because to me, the people of Madagascar, they're Indigenous to Madagascar, the people of Mozambique, Indigenous to Mozambique. But if we're talking about actual Indigenous tribes, then the mangroves in West Papua and the Ashaninka in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. But Tara, are you there? And would you like to just say why you are doing the Indigenous Wisdom for the Earth and what it is and how people can listen?
Yes, sure. The Indigenous, excuse me, I'm losing my voice now. The Indigenous Wisdom for the Earth series, it started because I wanted to give a platform for Indigenous people to have a voice to a wider audience, especially in this time and the things that are happening, like for instance, in the Amazon with the miners and the people taking down the trees, and they don't really have a voice. And so this series was a voice for all Indigenous people and also those who support the Indigenous to come and share their stories, share their wisdom. Another aspect of that is they've lived in unity with the earth for generations. And we really need to get back to that kind of relationship with the planet. We really need to get back to reciprocity and living in unity to heal the planet. And they also cherish community. They take care of the entire group. It's not individualism. It's not like, can I get a bigger house or a fancier car? It's what can I do to provide for the entire community this coming winter? So there's just so much about their culture and their ways of life that's so important for all of us to become aware of and to reflect on and how we can incorporate that in our lives. So yes, I'm looking forward to doing more, expand on the Indigenous Wisdom series next year. I think our most important impact was during the COVID, it was about June, I believe, that we had several different groups come on and did a live panel with Claire as the host. And just the it's still on our website if you want to view it, but just the information they were sharing about the conditions that the Indigenous people are already in, and then add on top of them a pandemic, it really wakes you up. It's an important thing to watch if you haven't seen it yet. It's June, our Indigenous Wisdom for the Earth page, and you can sign up there if you want to get on the mailing list. We send out a call once a month. So it'd be lovely to have you. I also want to mention, because this is my first true love within Tree Sisters, is our moon calls. Because the moon calls, if you've not been to them, they are a place where you're integrating your personal connection with nature and each other. And it's just so much more than just, a moon call. It's also a place to nourish you and to really, I don't know, it's indescribable. Those of you who've been to our moon calls, you know what I'm talking about. But Claire always leads the moon calls. And, for me personally, I used to just work to help the environment, and something was always missing. And when I came across Tree Sisters and the moon calls, that integrated for me that missing piece. It really made me connect my personal self with outer nature. So our moon calls are a very important part of also what we do here in Tree Sisters. And thank you so much.
Yeah, bless you. Okay. So there's so many questions coming in here. There's a whole bunch of them financial. There's another one here. When one donates money for a tree, where does the money go? When you donate money for a tree, it's called restricted funding. So we have what we call the unrestricted pot and the restricted pot. Everything that comes in through our website is in the restricted pot. And that means it goes to the 80-15-5, which I just described. And you'll see that at the bottom of the website. People who give for core costs, that goes into an unrestricted pot. That allows us to say, okay, we need to fund a new partnerships person, or we need to bring on some support for Lorianne, or we need to, bring in more community support. So whenever you're all giving, it's basically all restricted unless you tell us otherwise. And so larger donations, we will always ask, is this restricted or unrestricted? And then it'll be allocated appropriately. I think, Jennifer, yes, the quote is in the string. So if you run up, you'll find it. And it's also going to be on the website. I know, wasn't that an amazing quote? I'm going to hand over to Susie. There's a whole bunch of questions that have come in that she's going to be able to respond to. And then if Susie, you just keep an eye out for the rest of us if we raise a hand, if we want to contribute to that in any way. But just go on.
I just want to be clear that I can't see everyone. So I can see you on my screen. So if you could wave so that I know. Yeah. And there are about 7 questions that I've directly written down, questions relating to any of the areas I cover. Maybe people do keep on asking them, they're really, really important. Naomi, I'd be really interested to find out where the research you got regarding the half of the Bond Challenge pledged trees being monoculture, though it doesn't surprise me. That's very much the work that we're doing, looking into ethical tree growing code, is to articulate what ethical means with regards to reforestation, and that is with regards to planting and conservation that is biodiverse and not therefore solely monoculture, but also to do with the relationship with the landscape itself and the people and the communities of that landscape. You're absolutely right to name that, and that's something that we've been following closely also with my colleague Rebecca Lefton. Sarah Miller, what is ethical reforestation? Ethical reforestation, as I mentioned, is exploring reforestation when it's done with a holistic response to the entire landscape and the peoples of that landscape, and supporting a bottom-up citizen-led approach that is both empowering and supports resilient communities as well as biodiversity. We will go into further detail with that. How it is that we monitor something being ethical is something that actually Lorianne would speak better to, because that's a process of evaluation and monitoring that's done with all of the projects. Agroforestry also Lorianne can speak to with regards to the projects that we invest in that are agroforestry, as well as some of our partnership networks, for example, Trees for the Future and TreeAid, also heavily supporting agroforestry in Africa and Indonesia. And through the Tree Conference and the conversations in the nest. There's also lots of individuals exploring the agroforestry approach, i.e. the relationship of planting, cropping trees, and also trees along with other arable and animal-based crops. I don't call animals a crop, but like other forms of farming that integrates trees. Veronica, and I'm going to come back round to you. Brenda and Sharon, you both mentioned the issues to do with satellites, aerosol sprays, and excess heavy metals in the upper atmosphere. I really want to hold everybody really beautifully as much as possible when we bring up this subject. You're really right to bring it up. It's really, really important. It's not being talked about in even high-level climate change discussions. We're bringing it into conversations that we're having with different organisations, and it's strangely low in. But now we're hearing that China is moving forward with weather modification and various other things. We're really very conscious of the effect that that is going to have on trees and on life on land and life in the sea. The way that we're looking to move forward with that is in ethical tree growing code and in the work within TreeSisters is to support the ethics and values around supporting the sovereignty and autonomy of individuals in their relationship and their birthright of their relationship with the earth and the rights of nature, and supporting and standing up for the consciousness and intelligence of living systems that is not necessarily well understood by some aspects of the current scientific paradigm. So we're moving ourselves into a position where we can speak on behalf of those qualities of life in order to underline what behaviour we suspect is not so well aligned to the needs of life. That's how we're looking to move forward. We're not going to be the ones who solve that. Claire? I can't hear you.
I'll unmute myself, that might be better. I just want to speak to the weathering a little bit, just briefly, because one of the things that very few people understand about it, I mean, we're talking about heavy metals being sprayed for weather modification or whatever it actually is. I'm not going to go there. But one of the things that is really interesting in terms of the relationship between personal health and planetary health, people think about the trees as the lungs of the planet. I think about the trees as the lungs, the liver, the heart, the brain. They're like the synapses around the whole planet. They're also the immune system. And so not only do trees produce aerosols that are profoundly healing for humanity on multiple different ways. The fungal layer, the mycelium network that the world is starting to wake up to, that runs between trees, that allows trees to communicate with each other, that is deep. That fungal tree layer is like the bacteria on our skin. It's a massive part of the immune system of the planet. It actually, it protects the trees themselves. Like it's like if you think about our own intestines and how much bacteria we have in there and what it does, it helps us digest, it helps us do all of these different things. It's also a massive part of our immunity. What's happening with the heavy metals that falling from the skies, it's killing the fungi. It's wiping out the organic layers of the soil. What that's doing is it's reducing the immunity of the trees. So why we're seeing a colossal rise of disease in trees and pathogens, because the trees can't protect themselves anymore. They don't have, it's like their immune system is being wiped. So this is where, for all of us, understanding that we need to keep rotting wood on the ground. It's like not going and cleaning up all this rotting wood. The trees need the carbon that they drop to stay on the ground so that they can break it down with the fungi that they need to rebuild their own immune system. So I just wanted to drop that in as a, just because it feels so important in a practical way that we support trees, give them back the carbon that they need to help them, the mycelium, do the job of, you know, while we figure out how on earth we stop this behavior of weathering, which has been going on for 40 plus years. So back to you, Susie. Sorry for interrupting.
No, don't. I really appreciate the way that you grounded that in the relationships that we're seeing. And also there's multiple other impacts as well. So you're also looking at excess nitrogens and a whole load of other things, again, all of which we're really grateful for the network in the way that the network is bringing information to us and supporting us with direct observations and research. And I really encourage that to continue. It's really helpful. In addition, I also, last but not least, well, Veronica's question about how things are done ethically, I hope we've in some way responded to. But Jewel, when you talked about the abuse and the things that are happening in the UK, we are also very much tracking that and very much aware of it. There are some tight constraints around the main focus of our work, because we are a charitable organisation. We have, you know, key strategic things that we're focusing on, and as a result, you know, there are some things that we have to make sure that we put our energy on. And yes, I hear you with what's happening in the UK. It's not just the UK. It's many other countries. People are maybe more surprised by it, the fact that it's really happening at home as well. And I really look forward how we can move together into 2021 and work together clearly around standing up for what we know to be true through our experiential relationship with this incredibly gorgeous earth on which we live. I'm going to pass it back over, Claire.
Fab, thank you so much. Well, you're passing it back over to me and I'm sort of drowning in the questions here. I just want to, as in there's, and I love them and keep bringing them, and I'm just like, Tara and Callie, can you speak to the fundraising pages? Like there's a lot of questions coming in around fundraising, doing fundraising. I believe we had a little patch of time there. So, right, another thing, none of you have asked this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's an incredibly complex thing for us because we've got donations that come in on all these different systems. To have the tree counter on the TreeSisters website automatically update itself when people are giving. That's not just the complexity of the different ways that money comes in. What's also complex about it is because we're dealing with different currencies, we're dealing with different cultures, we're dealing with different exchange rates that are changing all the time as well. So what we tend to do is we tend to make our donations to our partner organizations quarterly, and we don't tend to adjust the number on the website until we know from the exchange rates exactly how many trees that actually makes, so that you've got an accurate representation. Now we're in the process of trying to get ourselves automated. It's only ever going to be able to be an approximation because of the whole deal with the exchange rates. What we're going to ensure is that we're always significantly sub where we are, so that by the time the donations are made, we can bump it up to where it actually is going to be. But we've been looking to have on our personal fundraiser pages. So when you sign up to be a donor, you have your own account. Inside of that account, it tots up your trees. So I have a family who've just written to say they want, a friend of mine is going to ask their entire family to basically try and grow a forest of 25,000 trees a year, which is phenomenal because they're a big family. They're going to have one page that they're all contributing to. We're hoping that soon we're going to be able to have the tree count that's on your personal page on your fundraiser page. But I just want to ask Tara, do you know where we're at with that?
I believe that Rose said there was a few more technical coding that they needed to work out, but I should think we would have it by the start of next year.
Okay, great. All right. And okay, so who on the team has been tracking questions? Because I haven't been. Kathleen, have you seen any that you want to answer, or Claire Marie, or shall I just scroll down here and see?
Could we have some of the audience raise their hand?
Oh, great. Well, that's a perfect way of doing it. Do you want to hand over? Do you want to let people know how they raise their hands, by the way?
Yes, if you go to the participants at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to click and open up a slide window, which will have an option at the bottom of the page that says raise hand.
Great, fab. So who have we got? Who have we got, Tara?
We have Laura Hitt.
Are you going to give her the, I'm having a technical moment.
Yes, she's Laura. Go ahead, ask your question.
Hi, okay. Yeah, I wondered where you all were at with the virtual showing for a fundraiser of a Call of the Forest. if I know that you were in meetings or something a couple of weeks ago when I had that thought. And so I'm hoping that you're coming along with that.
Does anybody know who's here on the team? Kathleen?
Oh, sorry, I may be wrong, but I think hasn't Pollyanna made an arrangement to do with Merit Motion Pictures, who's the people who show
Producers.
the producers. That's it. For sometime early next year, and I think there was going to be a month-long relationship where we were going to work with that, and I know that's through TreeSisters Australia, but I presume that that's something that we can that would be explored through. But I've just picked that up from things I've heard rather than that I'm speaking authoritatively. Tara may know more.
Kathleen, I think, knows more. So Kathleen, do you want to just say whatever it is that you know?
Well,
and also what this is.
Yeah, well, Call of the Forest is a movie about Diana Beresford Kroger. You might have seen her on our panel recently. And I think that's what you're referring to, right, Laura?
Yes,
and we have a streaming agreement with that right now where you can stream her movie in your groups, in your Grove or anything like that. But then there's this bigger project that Susie's also talking about coming in the fall.
Okay, so you already have it set up to stream if you are part of some other area of Tree Sisters?
Yeah, you can email if that's okay. You can email support@TreeSisters. I don't know the exact address for it. Yeah, but we do have an ability to do that already.
Okay, because it just seems like such a great fundraising potential. It's such a great film, and so many people know about her as more and more has been written. So thank you very much.
I'll also say again, if you didn't watch the panel that we did a month or so back, it was amazing. I mean, I shook for hours afterwards, just from the composite potency of the wisdom of Pat McCabe and the wisdom of Diana Beresford Kroger. Diana is an Irish mystic who is also one of the leading tree scientists on the planet. And I got to have my first experience of watching Pat McCabe, who's a Native American woman, a Diné woman, or what we would call Navajo. Diana was like, the first time I thought, gosh, there's an Indigenous Irish person. There's an actual person still holding her indigeneity and speaking from her lineage in a way that is just astonishing. She's incredible. And, you know, and she's holding the global forest in her heart with this just like single pointed focus on, we are gonna, you know, we're gonna take care of this. We're going to build a seed bank of every tree species on the planet. We're going to ensure the survival of these beings. And the Call of the Forest it's hers, you know. So yeah, there are many films out there actually that are really wonderful. Was it Like a Tree? Which was Wangari Maathai's film? Oh, anyway, if you look up Wangari Maathai, there's another film. She is she was the first Black woman to win a Nobel Peace Prize. She ran the Greenbelt movement in Kenya. She single-handedly brought down a government. This woman who just has, you know, been responsible for the planting of 50 million trees. She's the reason Tree Sisters exists, because she was my heroine. I am going to cry now. She was my heroine, and when she died, there was no more excuse. Because if you can be beaten into a coma, if you can be deserted by everyone, deserted by your husband, slammed by a government, and you still stand for the trees and you still go forward, I was just like, what the hell am I even worrying about just being a neurotic white person with all this privilege? There is no excuse to not stand with everything I have for this world that I love. Like Wangari she's that, you know. We lost her a few years ago, and I now see her in the trees, and I'm still working for her. You know, I will always work for her. You know, I'm going to cry, so I'm going to hand over. Does anyone else want to answer any of these questions? Oh,
Claire,
here's one before. I'm just going to answer this one now that I see it. Is there a place on the website with a sample email we could send to companies who are selling organic products that Claire talked about? If not, could samples be put up on the website? No, there's not, and yes, we can. And actually, I'm working on that. So because I send so many out to companies all the time. So I'll just gather a few of mine and put them up there, and also figure out, I think we'll probably also figure out a place in the nest where we can have more conversations about this. It might be the marketplace, possibly Kathleen will help us, where you can just keep dragging stuff over and just putting it out. And also with that, there's going to be increasing like collaterals and flyers and stuff that you can also just walk into a shop when we can do that again and just hand them something and just say, you know, would you like to grow forest? Here you are, and then walk back out again. Okay, sorry. Who did I interrupt? I interrupted someone. Was it you, Susie?
I've just sent you a question that I was right from earlier that I think that would be nice for you, but Kathleen actually was just about to say something.
Well, you know, I know that there's a couple women with hands up, and I know that there was someone here who I can't locate who was an environmental poet. And I'm looking for you again, but I can't find you in all the stream. So whoever you are, please reach out to me. You can come into the nest and find me there very easily. Or you can email me at kathleen@treesisters.org. So I wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Okay, fab. I've seen the question. I'll answer it briefly, then hand back over to Tara so that you can give the next person the stage. I'm wondering if the stages of the inner journey each correspond to a specific element. I'm asking because I've studied 5-element acupuncture, so I understand the correspondences might help you to connect to the process. No, is the answer. They don't, well, they do, but not in the form of 5-element acupuncture. What works the same as 5-element acupuncture is you've got the two cycles. You've got the supporting cycle of energy that goes around the map from reveal to embrace to embody, activate, shine. So a self-supporting system where when you liberate energy in each, that energy moves around so that as the feminine is strengthened, the masculine can make sense. That's the same as in acupuncture. And it's also got the 5-pointed star in the middle of the controlling elements, so that for those of you that think I'm talking like a lunatic right now, what this basically means is we've got a holistic system where you don't look at the symptom and go, right, we're going to just focus there. So you don't look at reforestation, just go, okay, everybody, just plant trees, that's the solution. We're looking at, why aren't people planting trees? Why is there a deficit of energy there? Why isn't it the most natural thing in the world for all of us to be doing this? What's missing that wouldn't have us automatically in relationship with nature in a way that would help us to protect it? What's missing is the feminine principle, which is the other half of the map. If we were in what I call sacred relationship with self, other, and nature, our actions would reflect that sacredness. We would be taking care of self, other, and nature. That's the feminine principle. It's our ability to be in relationship with self, other, and nature. It's the in-breath. It's the intimacy with. When you feel yourself part of something, when you're able to deeply care, you naturally live in a way that takes care of. When you can't feel your relationship to something, you can abuse it, you can dominate it, you can trash it. Our world that has taught us to be not in relationship with life as sacred has normalized the trashing of life. That's what's going on. So inside that 5-pointed star, it's somewhere on the TreeSisters website. That's not it's a fleshed out piece of work, but it's not fleshed out on the website because we've been having our glorious technical years of late, but it will be. We don't automatically go for where the problem is. We look for what's the root of the problem. That's why TreeSisters is a consciousness shift organization, and that's what the map gives us. It gives us a way of looking back through this system. What's missing? Is it community? Is it awareness? Is it humility? Is it courage? Where do we need to put the attention so that the energy starts to self-liberate, basically? So I hope that made sense to some people. Some people were nodding. Tara, over to you, love.
Yes, we have Sarah Dugan. If you could please unmute yourself and ask your question.
I'm one of your business partners, and a few weeks ago I saw your beautiful video called The Year It All Changed. And I thought, at last we have a piece of animation that takes the language of despair and turns it into hope, and hope that leads to action. I contacted the producers of the animation, Marcus, Beth, and Adrian, and I said, can you create something similar for my product? Because I'm about to embark on a major fundraising campaign. and they've produced an animation that's absolutely stunning. It's going to be raising money for TreeSisters. It's also going to be raising money for all the schools in Argyll and Bute, which is one of the more scenic parts of Scotland. It's stunning. Each school is going to have a designated medal from the funds that we're creating. My stepson is a musician and he lost all his contracts with COVID because he couldn't do live events. We took him on a drive through Argyll and asked him to write a piece of music that reflected the beauty of the trees and forests in Argyll. He's written a piece of music as a background to the animation. It's going to be available as a download, and I'm asking viewers to listen to the download, listen to the animation, and if they like it, donate money to TreeSisters, as well as a charity called We Make Events. We Make Events is an organisation that's offering hardship funds to everyone in live events who didn't qualify for government grants. Yeah. That could be photographers, costume designers, stagehands, electricians. They've all fallen through the cracks. They didn't, in the UK, they didn't qualify for the furlough scheme and the government grants, so they're facing severe hardship. We found out this week that they're going to be promoting TreeSisters internationally with the animation. So I'm just asking for help, support, love, kindness. Please listen to the animation and help everyone in need.
Oh, sweetheart, you make me cry. And I just want to deeply acknowledge you. I want to acknowledge your, you're doing that thing of stepping clean out of your comfort zone, and you're doing it because you're.
I'm terrified. Social media terrifies me. I'm having to learn all about it from scratch and make mistakes and bubble in front of people. It's so.
Well, I'll say this on behalf of the part of me that had to get over myself 1,000,000 times to do TreeSisters, and still has to get over myself 1,000,000 times because of TreeSisters, and was the reason why when I first had the car crash, I just said no and fell into a horrendous depression for 9 months, which it took me to gestate it. And then I was dragged kicking and screaming, literally kicking and screaming. I still hate social media, like 10 years on, I still can't bear it. But your love is so strong. Your love is so strong, and your sense of justice is so strong. And it's winning, like it's winning. Your soul is winning. And I would just say, hang out in the nest, like be with a community of women that you can, the amount of times I've arrived in the welcoming circle or the nest and I've just gone, oh my God, I just did this presentation and I cried on stage and it was absolutely awful and nobody came to talk to me afterwards and I felt like an absolute aberration and oh my God, and everyone's just like, well done, it's fine, like it doesn't matter, like you've got a sisterhood here, and I know everybody here will support you. If you come in and you say, here's the link, can you all get it out? We'll all get it out. That's what we do for each other. So just ask, one of the biggest things for women is asking for help. Yeah. We're the endless providers. We just give and give and give. And then when somebody wants to give to us, we're just like, but there's another step, which is ask. Ask because you can ask. And it doesn't matter if people say no. What matters is you're asking. It's about you. It's about your process of being worthy of asking. Everything else is just lovely if it actually happens, but this is where we grow. This is where I grow, walking into a shop and saying, wow, you're selling wind chimes, you'd like to plant a tree? No. Great, well, I'm going to give you a leaflet anyway. Hi, to an amazing big company. Oh, no, we're all about carbon offsetting. Well, would you like an ethical one anyway? Like, I don't. No is just like another form of yes to me now, because I've completely passed through the fear of people rejecting me, because it's not about me. It's only frightening when you make it about you. It's just you're standing there with your heart, with your gift, just saying, here's my gift, here's my gift, here's my gift. And it doesn't matter if people have their back to you. You can look at your gift and go, wow, look what I'm doing. It's your growth. It's your gift. It's a thing of beauty. It's your courage. You've grown in the making of it. So, and so much love to your son. And, you know, so much love to all these people that are going through such fear and uncertainty because the money's just vanished, you know, and this is when community matters more than ever. This is when we need each other. This is where we hold hands. This is where, you know, when everything falls over, you just go, okay, so there's a way, I just got to find it. There's a way. Something else is here for me. I just have to find it. So I'm so grateful. I'm really aware that I think we were an hour and a half call and we've gone over. I think I'm going to give us like another 10 minutes so that we're only 15 minutes over. I'm so bad at timekeeping, but I also just want to acknowledge that there may be other people here who've got their hands raised. Tara, was there anyone else with a hand raised? Thank you so much, Tara.
Sorry, yes. Ruthie, if you could please unmute and ask your question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ruthie. My heart was like beating so hard. I just felt like I had to say something, even though I was enjoying being really quiet. I want to say something about the global North and the global South. One of the things that I love about Tree Sisters is that we are about the whole world. There are mostly white faces here. I'm guessing most of our donors are in the Caucasian or European, United States majority groups, but our plantings and most of our trees are in the global South. And I want to acknowledge, because I haven't heard it voiced here, how amazing our Australian Tree Sister family is. Pollyanna and Ursula and what you're doing. If you're new to Tree Sisters here, or if you're not, it's just incredible. I love you so much. And I feel the mycelial network from the north touching the mycelial network from the south. We all go through the seas together, and we are one world and we are one family. So I prayerfully invite anyone who feels marginalized or outside of Tree Sisters because of our predominant wealth and our skin color, if that's anything that is a barrier, I just ask now for the trees to relieve that. Because the trees don't know color, race, creed, class. They're bringing us together, and this is at the core of our organization, and that's why you are all so beloved.
Thank you, Ruthie. And I love that you've brought that. And yes, Linnea was asking, is Pollyanna still with us? Yeah, Pollyanna's been running the organization. Like, she literally ran it while I fell over, Wendy fell over. You know, she's been an absolute rock star. I remember when Pollyanna first found me back in something like 2012, there was no website. I just did the Women on Fire video, the speech that kind of kicked this whole thing off. And I remember meeting her and saying, you're going to be the CEO of Tree Sisters Australia one day. And she is. So one of the things that's just happened this year as well is the 501c3 is just taking form in America. It's just got legal tax status, and Australia has just also happened. Australia is one of the fastest growing Tree Sisters networks, and she is a force to be reckoned with. And I want to speak to our whiteness. You know, Lorianne here is our one real non-white member of the team, and I think she's been lonely in that way. It's been really difficult for us to find people of women of color to join the team. There is a very interesting process that we are going in through. Like now, as we've just started our racial training as an entire organization. That's across all 3 organizations, including our trustees. And you know, I would love for us to have been able to do it a long time ago. And that's down to me. That's down to me being blind about my whiteness, because I don't see myself through that filter. And that's one of those things about white supremacy, that until you actually have it really, you have to really confront it. I just think being kind and inclusive and loving towards everyone is enough, and it's not. And it's like, oh my God, like learning that. And also, because I see us so much putting all these cultures that we're supporting at the center of Tree Sisters. But, you know, there's another bunch of people would just call that white saviorism. So it's a really profound and beautiful and humbling step that we're in right now as an entire ecosystem going through this racial training. We're right at the beginning, and it's already like dismantling a whole way of looking that I am so grateful for. And we're in that beginning place where it just brings up so many more questions than there are answers, and so much more discomfort than there is comfort. And, you know, possibly this will never be a comfortable place, and possibly that's exactly how it needs to be, you know, just roaringly uncomfortable until such a time as our planet has righted itself, and the insanity of social injustice is a thing of the past, if we could ever create that.
But you model in all of your work, Claire, from the minute I heard your voice the first time, you model going into what is, into the pain or the suffering or the unknowing or the shame, and being there so that it transforms and transmutes. It is a tool we already have. We are so well equipped to do this work of dismantling racism, oppression, inequality, and moving to a world of equity. It's what the trees teach us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, bless you. It's so nice to see your face, Ruthie. So lovely.
It's so nice to see yours, Claire. I love you.
Tara, is there anyone else?
Yes, we have one more, and that is Jane Brown. If you could unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Hi there, I'm Jane Brown. I was kind of at Sarah's pitch and discussion kind of sent my heart racing into my mouth. Yeah, and then what Claire said really overwhelmed. What Claire said about females asking for support. Yeah, I'm just having a bit of a tough time of it at the minute, and sometimes I want to give up being an author, and not really, but I just I'm not even in profit yet, and I thought I can't wait to be the next J.K. Rowling and before I start giving back. So the sales from my books, I only started in September, and so far I've got 65 trees planted.
Well done.
Thank you. And my books are about the death of Gaia and about what we're doing to her, and about the potential of particularly young girls and the power of matriarchy. And so I'd just like to ask the community for support, because I'd love to hit 100 trees. So if anybody is looking for, would like environmental fantasy books for loved ones, little ones, eco-warriors in their home, then from this tiny amount of profit that I get once I've paid for the actual physical paperbacks, I give back to TreeSisters and things, and it's just been so wonderful this evening, and this is just amazing. And I've been making little notes as I've been writing and stuffing my scone, because I've been tutoring as well. So I just wanted to say what an amazing community is, and I feel really quite raw at the moment with it all, but a lot of eco-anxiety, and I feel like I just need to. I feel like I've come home with TreeSisters, and I feel like I found my tribe and my calling, and I don't want to be the next J.K. Rowling. I want to be the next Beatrix Potter, because she gifted to the UK 4,000 acres of protected wildlife and land, and through the National Trust, and she's a hero. To me she's incredible, and I just thought, wow, if there's one author I'd like to follow in the footsteps of and give back. And I would love for the Earth Chronicles, for my little series, that it's all about the power of trees and how the characters are so rooted into them, and the power they hold, and the secrets they hold, and the medicine they give, and the development of the characters in the world, and the protections. And yeah, so sorry I'm waffling. I didn't expect to cry. I was so my heart was racing, but I just wanted to do a little a little ask, and I was so inspired by what Sarah did. I really was. It was wonderful being so brave to ask the community. And
Thank you.
One day I'll fund the Earth Chronicles Forest and properly do it. That's my goal. I'm aiming high.
Good.
Thank
Good.
you.
And
Thank you.
Claire, can I just quickly respond to that? Thank you so much for stepping into that and through your rawness, and thank you to Sarah as well for bringing your work through. And I just want to put out there that, like, I'm really aware of the need and the power for us to support each other's businesses, for us to support each other's work. And there are some limitations in how we can do that as a UK charity. We can't directly promote.
No.
But it's how do we build the network? How do we build the community amongst ourselves? We're trying to do it in the nest, but we need everybody to come into the nest and help us do it. I know, Jane, you've already posted in there, and sometimes the responses aren't that strong, but because it's new, we're building it. And if anybody's got any other ideas as to how we might do that, please get in touch. Please let me know. Like, do we have a monthly call for business owners next year? And there's so many things that we can do to get around the compliance regulations. But it's really important at this time that conscious business and restorative business and our soul work is supported by each other. So thank you both for sharing.
Thank you.
And I just want to, I think we need to wrap up. Remember that we are going to go through all of the different questions here, and we're going to take them and we're going to post them on Facebook, and then we're going to answer them individually. If you're not in the nest, come into the nest. That is, it's not the same as Facebook. It's not the same as Facebook, but it's a quiet, non-intrusive, healthy space where there's psychic space in there. It's a different experience. I want to thank the team, everyone. Tara, thank you so much for doing all of the jiggery pokery that I just cannot do. I want to thank everybody that's been here this entire time. There's so many of you, I can't believe it. I want to thank you for your questions. I apologize if we haven't been able to get to it. I hope that you are having more of a sense of being part of this. I hope you can feel our hearts and our orientation and where we are. I'd love to invite those of you that are not yet giving to become restorers, to take it to your families, to take it to your businesses, to take it around the world, to start dreaming. And for those of you that have asked, I've been with TreeSisters for a long time and I still don't know how to give, like how to contribute, like how can I get involved? It's one of those really big questions. And I'm going to invite you, like the trees, they drop their leaves, they go, okay, I'm done with that year. I'm done with that version of myself. I'm just going to dump it completely. And I'm going to let the whole experience nourish my becoming. So they strip naked in their glory, and then they fall into their own roots and they go into a dreaming. And they let everything that's happened to them through the leaves of their experience nourish that dreaming. Everything comes down. And that dreaming is not like, okay, I've got 15 minutes, then I have to know the answer. That dreaming is like, I'm going into one with creation, and I'm going to allow it to have its way with me. And I'm going to see as and when my sap wants to rise, then I'm going to know. But you can't force your sap to rise. You can't force yourself to be ready before you're ready. And the knowing in your heart about what is yours to do is yours alone, on your own timing, is to do with your own evolution and your own soul. But that invitation of TreeSisters, reveal, embrace, embody, activate, belong, that is in the inner journey, which will start again in January with Reveal. Those 5 questions. How do we help the world wake up to the sacredness of all of life? How do we fall back into oneness with something so much greater? How do we unplug from the nightmare of the indoctrination of media? That's the first question. You will all have gifts to contribute to that. The second place, how do we create a sisterhood that is safe, or a sisterhood and brotherhood, or a humanity that is safe, where we call out each other's greatness, where we look for each other's beauty, where we're not in competition, where we're not in judgment, where we're a stand for the quality of love that unites us, out of which a different experience arises. You've all got gifts towards that. The third place, embody. How do we deepen our relationship with the natural world? Just go outside. Go outside more and bow to the trees, talk to the trees, sing to the sky. Say hello to every bird, say hello to every bug. Fall in love a little deeper. We can all fall in love a little deeper. Take the leaves that you find and create mandalas of art. Make offerings and altars and do ceremonies and welcome the directions and listen for a depth of intimacy where the cosmos and the rivers and the oceans are inside you, and fall in love with yourself as nature. Out of that, nourishment arises, a nourished expression of your own soul made visible. You can't circumnavigate that. You got to go all the way into who you really are as the sacred cosmos, as the human heart, as nature made visible, for that to arise as the new human, the new you that goes, now I'm going to deck myself out in these blossoms and these leaves, and this is going to be the expression of me this year. And none of us know what that's going to be yet. None of us know who we're going to be in 2021. None of us. And may we not be the people that we were in 2020. May we have the 2020 vision that this has given us around social justice, around ecological justice, around what it means to help and include and love and strive and rest and listen and create, and more love and more love and more love. And for God's sake, let's have some pleasure and some chocolate cake in there as well. And then let's figure out how to bring our gifts, and then let's do it together. And let's see if next year TreeSisters can get to 1 million trees a month. That's where I want to get. I want to get to 1 million trees a month next year. If not, even more than that. Are we going to do it? I have no idea. Is it worth trying? Abso-flipping-lutely. You know, write to 10 companies next week. Love the fact that you don't get an answer or that you do, and just go, amazing. I'm part of the mycelium network of love that is inviting the world to wake up and do something constructive. Why? Because I can, because I care, because I love. I wish you all the most spectacular rest of December. I have so much gratitude for you. Thank you for getting us to 15 million trees. Thank you for helping us get to a place where I can actually feel it. Who knew it was going to be 15 million trees? I have so much love for you all and so much gratitude for TreeSisters. And I'm going to say farewell and have a beautiful Christmas time. Thank you so much to all of the team. Thank you to all of you. Lots of love.